Revelation 21:8. But the fearful and the unbelieving and the abominable and the murderers and whoremongers, etc., will be thrown in the lake of fire, which is the second death. Whoremongers. I'm going to look up the word right here in Greek, pornos. The word is pornos, a man who prostitutes his body to another's lust for hire. A male prostitute, a man who indulges in unlawful sexual intercourse, a fornicator. Pornos. Okay, how about a woman who prostitutes her body to another's lust for hire? Do you understand? All of these porn stars are prostitutes, whether male or female. They're prostitutes. And those partaking in what they're selling are whoremongers, fornicators. It says right here, they go in the lake of fire. Now, you can say, oh, well, I don't believe in Jesus. I don't believe in all that stuff about heaven and hell. Okay. But does your belief dictate reality and truth? What if you believe that and you're wrong? I mean, this is a pretty dire warning. Is it not worthy of investigation to find out if it's true? Adultery is a pretty grave sin, right? It's in the Ten Commandments, thou shalt not commit adultery. Jesus says if you even look on a woman with lust, you are committing adultery in your heart. He says if your right hand makes you sin, cut it off, because it's not worth going to hell for the sake of it. Could it be that everybody partaking in pornography is sinning so grievously that they are tempting hellfire? The sexual act is very powerful. This is why the whole occult is formed around sex. This is the main way the devil entices people into sin and entraps them in it, is sex. Okay? It's a very powerful urge, very primal, right? Goes all the way back to the creation of Adam and Eve. Eve was created from Adam to complete Adam. Okay? So there's a very, very deep primal drive for the male and the female to unite. The sexual union, okay? And it's laid out in biblical morality that the best way to do this union is through a marriage, a lifelong marriage. Now consider what sex does. What is it for? It creates children. So remember being a child. What would have been the ideal childhood? Wouldn't it have been having good natured parents that were kind and loving, who were in love with each other, married and stayed together and gave you a nice comfortable home? You know, and you got the mother's nurturing quality and you got the father's disciplinary, kind of more instructive quality. Wouldn't that be ideal for any child? So is it any wonder God says, you know, get married and stay married and don't commit adultery? Don't run after prostitutes, guys. Even if you're single, you're engaging in whoremongering. It's filthy, it's gross. Okay, these women and men, whoever they are, okay, selling their bodies for money or attention. Some of them don't get money for what they're doing. They're just seeking attention. Okay, when you are married and you're in love with your spouse, isn't it not very painful when they turn their sexual attention to another? I know from experience, it's actually more painful when a man turns, when he's with me and we are in a sexual commitment, and he turns his sexual attention to prostitutes and pornography. It hurts worse than if he actually fell in love with another woman. Because in that case, at least there's love involved, right? At least it's a real person that he really knows, and there's real love involved. In the case of the prostitutes and the porn, I mean, what an insult. What an insult. I'm here, a real person with a real soul and a real heart, in a commitment with this man, and he's running off to whoremonger, to engage with prostitutes and images rather than engage with me. And usually it's because there's a conflict between us which he doesn't want to face, so he's running away from that to get easy, free sex rather than sex that he gets at the, in exchange for love. No, instead of giving the love, he runs away to get it for free. It's really, really insulting to your spouse to do that. Really insulting. That's why it's so painful. That's why sexual immorality is grounds for divorce biblically. Yes, if you look at porn, if you cheat on your spouse with porn, they have the right, biblically speaking, to divorce you. You don't have to actually engage physically with another person. You can just whoremonger. They have a right to divorce you. That is sexual immorality. I know it's in the New Testament somewhere where it said, fornication's like the worst sin because you're sinning against your own body. Defiling your own body. And these prostitutes, I mean, consider their state of affairs. Like, they have such low self-esteem, such little love for themselves that they're selling their bodies. And of course, prostitutes that are under pimps and whatnot, right, and actually having sex with people for money, consider their plight. A lot of them are slaves. They're enslaved to their predicament and they can't escape, and going and partaking in that is keeping the pimps in business. Incredibly evil. And a lot of these porn stars are in similar predicaments, So overall, pornography is extremely wicked. You should not engage in it. You are tempting hellfire. Not worth it. Not worth it at all. Consider all the abortions going on. Why? Why are people getting abortions? Because they're having sex outside of a loving commitment, right? So therefore the kids are not wanted. And then they're just hacked to pieces and pulled out of the womb in a very grotesque, disgusting manner. This is similar to throwing your babies into the fires of Moloch in the old world, right? Why did people do that? For monetary gain, for gain in the world. Why are people aborting their babies? They don't want the responsibility of raising them. Same thing. For worldly gain. It's a grave sin to kill your own child. Of course, most people doing this are in ignorance. They don't realize the extent of what they're doing, right? They're not shown the truth. They're not shown the true nature of abortion, that these little tiny human beings with arms and legs and eyes, little feet and toes and a heart, little tiny baby human beings hacked to pieces into a little bloody pulp, then sold to the pharmacia industry to make everybody's medicines. It's horrendous. It's absolutely horrendous. It's the stuff of nightmares happening in real life. Okay? Whoremongering contributes to this whole mess. Please, people, don't tempt hellfire. Not worth it. You know, if the sexual desire comes over you very strongly, right? And you have to express it. You feel like you just got to express it. Well, you can do that without engaging in pornography, right? Even in your mind, you don't have to think of anything, right? Have you tried that? Because every time you express your sexual energy to pornographic images, whether on paper, on a screen, or in your imagination, whenever you're marrying your sexual drive to those images, you're connecting all the neurons in your mind to associate your sexual drive with that. Okay, it's going to be harder and harder to break the habit. Over time, it's not worth it. There's a reason the devil goes after the sexuality. Okay? There's a reason all the Disney movies, right? They target this inner primal urge for the man and the woman to unite, you know, where the prince comes and rescues the princess or whatever, right? There's so many subliminals in Disney movies for sex for little kids, trying to urge them early towards pornos, whoremongering, because then he wins their souls. It's the most powerful urge, so of course he's going to go after it. Of course. So there it is, my little spiel on pornography.